right? So that is what happens if the female egg is not fertilized. So whatever that has gone on, whatever preparation that has occurred in the womb will be evacuated. And that is what is seen as menstruation or blood. Hello viewers, this is again your primary or preventive healthcare advocate Bernard, often called Bernardis. Our topic for discussion today is menstrual cycle. This is a subject relating to ladies. Once they get to that stage, they just can't avoid it. There's more to menstrual cycle as many ladies know, and I want to throw more light on that. When you ask a lady what is the number of days in your menstrual cycle or what is your menstrual cycle, she tells you, oh, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 7 days. Or ladies normally talk about menstrual cycle in relation to ovulation or the tendency to get pregnant, but there is more to it. It is called cycle because there are 4 phases or stages that form it. Each of the stages or phases must take place for the other to also occur. It is cyclical in nature. One must occur for the other to take over. So if the first phase, which is the follicular phase, does not take place, the ovulation phase will not take place. If luteal phase does not take place, menstrual phase or the bleeding will not occur. So that takes me to all the 4 phases. The 4 phases, we have the follicular phase. The first one for me is the follicular phase. Then we have the ovulation phase. We have what we call the luteal phase. And the last one is the menstrual phase. So what is the follicular phase? Follicular phase is simply the stage where the female egg is produced in the ovary. When it matures, it is released, and that brings about the ovulation phase. So ovulation phase is simply the release of a matured female egg. The luteal phase is the stage where there is preparation in the womb or the uterus in anticipation for pregnancy and also the nourishment of a fertilized egg to go to term, right? That is the luteal phase. And the last one is the menstrual phase or the bleeding phase. If fertilization does not take place, whatever preparation that occurred in the womb must come out. All of the phases or stages occur within a certain time frame. So when this finish within this number of days, then the other also takes over to also happen within a certain number of days. So it is the addition of all of these numbers that give the total number of days in the lady's menstrual cycle. So ladies generally do not have the same number of days in their menstrual cycle. Some have a 28 day, which is the average the number of days. Most ladies actually have their cycle lasting for 28 days. That is why in both you often see the number 28. But some have their days lasting for 25 days, 26 days, 28 days, 29 days, 30 days, 31 days, 32 days. So at times ladies like to rely on mobile phone application to tell when they are likely to ovulate or when they are likely to bleed. But the mobile phone application is not really reliable because there are a number of factors that can alter all the phases within the cycle. There are a number of factors that can change when the female egg is produced. There are a number of factors that can change when ovulation will take place. There are a number of factors that can change when luteal phase and then the menstrual phase will take place. So if you do not monitor the changes by yourself and do the calculation by yourself, you are always going to be faced with surprises. So ladies who solely depend on the mobile phone application get pregnant and they do not understand why. So a lot of ladies don't really like to even think about it. But it is very beneficial. It is beneficial to be able to calculate your own menstrual cycle. So by the end of this discussion, we will be looking at how you can calculate the number of days in your menstrual cycle, the number of days the follicular phase takes place, the number of days ovulation takes place, the luteal phase, and finally the menstrual phase. So let me go into details explaining how the different phases or stages occur. As I said, the follicular phase, production of the female egg. When it matures, we have the ovulation phase, that is the release of the matured female egg. Then we have the luteal phase. The luteal phase is one of the less known phases or stages. So what happens is that when a female egg is released, the body begins to prepare for possible fertilization to take place. And when fertilization takes place, the fertilized egg must get into the uterus or the womb to be implanted and nourished to go to term. So God in his own wisdom made it in such a way that the body does not wait for fertilization to take place before that preparation goes on or takes place within the womb. That is the reason if a lady does not engage in sex for fertilization to occur, for a viable sperm to be released to fertilize the viable egg, bleeding takes place or menstruation takes place. So there is this structure called corpus luteum. Those of you who care to, get some deeper meaning to what is happening in the body in the time of menstrual cycle. Corpus luteum is a structure formed within or around the ovary, okay? And the function of this corpus luteum is to produce the hormone progesterone and the estrogen, which then helps in the which then helps in enriching or the nourishment of the uterus for possible fertilized egg to be implanted. So progesterone helps in the thickening of the wall of the uterus. There is rich increased supply of what blood to the uterus. The uterus is enriched with all the element that is necessary for the nourishment of the fetus. So it's just like when you are expecting a child, the mother parents are expecting baby. They buy all the baby items, all the food supplement, everything that a baby need in order to thrive. The same thing happens in the uterus even before fertilization takes place. So if fertilization does not take place, whatever preparation that is done in the womb must be evacuated, must come out. So in that area too, I can say it's just like a guy who is expecting a lady. He makes sure he puts all the rooms in order, arrange all the things, and lay the bed neatly, put everything in proper order so that the lady will come to the house and see like, whoa, this guy is very neat. Meanwhile, under normal circumstances, he is not really that neat or in that kind of orderly person in terms of the house upkeep. And once he knows that there is somebody coming, he begins to prepare and put everything on. The same thing, I should say, okay, in the womb, okay, in anticipation of a fertilized egg coming to be implanted in the womb. So if in the case of a boy, a guy expecting a lady or a lady expecting a guy, after all this preparation, great preparation in the womb, if the lady doesn't come or the guy doesn't come, you see that he gets frustrated and he then goes back to scattering the room. His trouser is there and boxer, whatever that the room was before then. He tries to feel normal and then scatter the room again. The same thing, as you say, happens when fertilization does not occur. Okay, so the body does not wait for the female egg to be fertilized before this preparation takes place. So it prepares in anticipation. Once fertilization does not occur, I would say there is frustration in the womb. So whatever that has been prepared will come out. And that takes place because when the corpus luteum, the structure that produces the progesterone and the estrogen is in place, the preparation, enrichment, resupply of blood nutrient cells begin to, pack up within the uterus so that the fertilized egg can survive, successfully to term for delivery to occur. So the corpus luteum stays in place for some time to help in this kind of preparation in the womb. Once fertilization does not take place, the corpus luteum, that structure, begins to shrink to the point that it no longer exists. It will reabsorb into the body system. Once it is not there, then progesterone and estrogen is not going to be produced, right? So that is what happens if the female egg is not fertilized. So whatever that has gone on, whatever preparation that has occurred in the womb will be evacuated. And that is what is seen as menstruation or blood flow. So the blood flow is simply disintegration of all the, the elements, that is necessary for the nourishment of a fertilized egg. That comes out, it's made up of cells, dead cells, it's made up of fluid, it's made up of blood. That is what actually comes out as what? Menstrual flow. So the question is, what if the lady is pregnant? If the lady is pregnant, the corpus luteum must remain in place to continue producing progesterone, which is the hormone that helps in enriching the womb for the survival of the fetus. So the body produces another hormone called human chorionic gonadotropin. And this hormone, human chorionic gonadotropin, its job is to help the corpus luteum, the structure, to remain in place, to continue producing its hormones, progesterone and estrogen, which helps in the nourishment of the uterus for the survival of the fetus. So when you go to do pregnancy tests, the lab people actually test for the presence of this hormone, human chorionic gonadotropin, because that hormone can only be released if a woman is pregnant. If a lady is pregnant, that is the only time human chorionic gonadotropin hormone is released. So they pick up that hormone in the body system to determine that indeed fertilization has occurred or a woman got pregnant. Please, you get explanation that I am giving here. I hope I am making some sense. So it's a bit complicated. The other phase is the follicular phase and then the luteal phase, but that is basically what happens. So once the lady is pregnant, the corpus luteum is maintained by the release of human chorionic gonadotropin, a hormone, to continue producing the progesterone till term for the baby to be delivered. If fertilization has not occurred, the lady is not pregnant, she didn't engage in any search for viable sperm to meet the viable egg for fertilization to occur, whatever preparation that has gone on within the womb in anticipation of that must come out, it will be destroyed, and that is what come out as what? Menstrual flow. Please, do you get what I'm trying to say? So, as I said, in the next area of the discussion, we'll be looking at how we can calculate a number of days in all the what phases, the number of days that all the phases occur, right? And we'll also be looking at the factors that can cause changes in the phases, changes in when the follicular phase occur, when the menstruation phase occur, or when the ovulation phase will occur. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you have learned something. Bring out your questions, ask questions at the comment section, and I'll be able to answer them.
Thank you.
Subscribe and follow us.